In the name of Allah, who is the most beneficent, the most merciful. I am Nadia Saqib, Senior Subject Specialist English at Divisional Public School and College, Sahiwal. And I welcome you in DPS online classes. We are going to look at the essay using the scientific method written by Darrell Bernard and Lon Edward from the famous book The New Basic Science, which was published in 1956. Both of the writers are well known in English literature, and their anthologies, like their collection of essays, they have always provided suitable, useful reading material for the readers. Now, first of all, we should know what is scientific method. Basically, we can say science is an enormously successful enterprise. The study of scientific method is the attempt to discern the activities by which that success is achieved. So, a scientific method is a systematic observation, measurement, experiment, and the formulation, testing, and modification of hypotheses. So, important themes of this particular essay are uses of scientific method in our fight against disease, and sanitary condition in our cities and in our villages. Use of scientific method in use of production and preservation of food, and how this scientific method have changed our attitude. So students, basically we will see how scientific method is used in daily life for the benefits of man, for better living standard, and changed life than our forefathers. Dear students, the essay using the scientific method is actually a comparison between our life and life of our forefathers 100 or 200 years ago, when they were living without many of the luxuries provided by the science nowadays. Now start with the very first line of the essay, and we will see the meanings and synonyms of the difficult words of the text also. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So come towards very first word. All of us have benefited greatly from the use of scientific method in solving problems such as those dealing with the maintenance of health, production and preservation of foods, the construction of our homes, and the improvement in communication and transportation. Scientific means based on science. Benefited mean profited, took advantage, gained. Deal with mean concerning, treating, pertaining. Maintenance means continuation, upholding, upkeeping, preservation, keeping fresh, conservation. Construction, building, production, improvement, betterment, advancement. Communication, transmission. And transportation, carrying goods from one place to another means transmission. Students, if we look our daily life, we are leading our lives with the benefits of science. We can solve our problems, we can maintain our health. Preservation means store, especially food. The construction of houses have changed. There are huge buildings with lot many things, cooling, heating processes. An improvement in communication, like you can see your mobiles, you can see your laptops, you can see your computers. You're not in need to write letters to your friends and relatives. Just push some buttons of your mobile phones and convey your message fast, Hannah. Yes, not only have our ways of living changed, but people themselves have also been changed. Ways of living mean modes of living, styles of living, manners of living. Ways of transportation means you have aeroplanes, you have spaceships, you have spacecrafts. Yes, today we are better able to explain happenings which used to be considered strange and mysterious. Happenings, incidents, events, occurrences. Considered. Considered means regarded, taken, thought of. Strange, mysterious. Mysterious mean secret. Yes, although there is still need of improvement, we are now generally less fearful than our forefathers. Fearful, frightened, and grandfathers were. We are also more critical in our thinking than our ancestors. Critical mean having analytical approach, logical, rational, and ancestor, grandfathers, forefathers, our elders. Dear students, now we notice approach of the common man has been changed. We can get the causes and reasons of the different situations which we feel in our daily life. In past, people did not understand the happenings. They thought that everything is having an automatic procedure. But now science explains everything. For example, I will give you an example. In past, it was forbidden to sleep under trees at night. You would have listened to by your father or mother not to go under the trees at night, है ना? Have you listened? At the time, they were having a viewpoint that many evil spirits will make your breath stop under the tree at night. But science has given us true knowledge that plants, like human beings, consume oxygen at night time, as you know that they consume carbon dioxide at morning, but oxygen at night time, so we can feel deficiency of oxygen under the tree. So we will feel difficulty in breathing. So this kind of thing our forefathers could not get at that time, but now people have reasons. So it is going to be very interesting. End of the essay is more interesting. So keep listening attentively. This lesson should help you understand how the use of scientific method has improved the living conditions and changed the people. It should also help you understand how you can make better use of the scientific method in our daily living. Now the lesson proceeds with the title Better Control of Disease. If you had been born 200 years ago, you would have had about one chance in 8 of living to be 1 year old. In other words, in those days, about 7 out of 8 babies died before reaching their first birthday. Now, it's Corona time, which is not going to control by us, but we are just confined to follow SOPs. Just imagine, students, you would be the one out of 8 who got survival and other died. Suppose you had been an unusually strong little fellow and had lived through that first year. Suppose means think, assume, imagine. Unusually, uncommonly, extraordinary. You were the lucky one if you got your first birthday and you got the chance at that time to be alive after your first birthday. Life was so uncertain at that time. Very likely having a chance, probably, possibly, before you were 6 years old, you would have had smallpox. What was smallpox? Smallpox is an acute contagious viral disease with fever and pustules that leave permanent scar. Pustule means pimples on the skin containing pus. And by the time you reach the age of 12, you would undoubtedly, without any doubt, surely have had measles. Now, what is measles? Measles, it is called a khasra in Urdu, viral disease causing fever and a red rash on skin. Whooping cough. Whooping cough is called kali khansi in Urdu. It's also a contagious respiratory tract infection. Scarlet fever. Scarlet fever is called surkh bukhar in Urdu. Scarlet fever is also a bacterial illness with strep throat. Strep means pain and having pain and inflammation in throat. Diphtheria. Diphtheria is called khannak in Urdu. Diphtheria is also a contagious bacterial disease causing inflammation of the mucous membrane in the throat, which hinders breathing and swallowing. Sometimes it results in the death of the patient. Students, do you remember your book one, chapter number 7, the use of force? Have you remembered? Mathilda was ill with diphtheria. Even then, your battle for life was not over. Battle here is not for war. Battle is here for struggle, fight, over, finished, ended. Yes, there are many other diseases which you are going to listen. Yellow fever. It is often called Pila Bukhar. Yellow fever is a tropical virus disease affecting the liver and kidneys, causing fever and jaundice. Malaria. Malaria is a disease caused by the biting of mosquitoes. Then typhus. Typhus is a bacterial infection caused by the lice, fleas, and mites. Some people confuse typhus with typhoid, but they are two different diseases. Cholera. It's a bacterial infection caused by infected water supplies that is causing severe vomiting and diarrhea. Typhoid fever. Yes, typhoid fever is an infectious bacterial fever with a red spot on the body. And even influenza. Influenza, like corona, is a highly contagious viral infection of respiratory passages. Once started, spread through a community. Community means people who are living in a particular locality or area or in a society, neighborhood. Life was uncertain. Yes, a baby born in those days would have to fight against different diseases, as you have learned, as I have told you. And a person who lived to be more than 30 years of age was indeed fortunate. Fortunate, you were the luckiest one if you got the age at 30. But you all are lucky, students, because the vaccine of all these diseases are available. And students, we all are living in a phase of time and are experiencing the uncertainty of life as well, due to the fear of spread of coronavirus, because its vaccine or vaccination have not been yet made yet. We can just avoid it by following SOPs. But be hopeful, it will be made soon, inshallah. Yes, see the next paragraph, please. It is unbelievable that such conditions, such a condition that which cannot be believed, unthinkable, that such conditions could have existed so short a time ago. Today, babies are born in hospitals where there is little likelihood of their getting a disease. Likelihood, there is no possibility. Young people are treated to protect them against smallpox, diphtheria, and typhoid fever. Today, a person can expect to live to be almost 70 years old. In other words, more than 30 years have been added to the expected length of man's life. These all changes have been made possible by the use of scientific method to solve such problems at the causes of disease and its prevention. Prevention, keeping things from taking place. Yes, a strong check, safeguard. Yes, come to the next paragraph. Next is best sanitary control. Sanitary means system of pipelines of water and waste. Yes, it is difficult to imagine what sanitary conditions in some of our larger cities were like only 100 years ago. Into the narrow, unpaved, the poorly drained city streets, household garbage and other refuse were thrown. Poorly, defective, bad condition, and garbage, rubbish, junk, waste, trash, filth. Refuse is not used as a verb here, it is as a noun, so it's also mean rubbish and junk. Animals wandered through the streets feeding upon the garbage. What kind of a miserable situation it was. Outdoor toilets were common, many of them situated where human waste drained into wells from which people obtained drinking water. The writer has written it according to his own city, where he used to live at that time, these all situations were present over there. Today, our city streets are paved and well drained, paved, bricked, and they are cleaned regularly. It is against the law to throw garbage in the streets. Sewage from all sections, sewage, waste material, rubbish. Sections of a city, from all sections of a city means from all parts, from all areas of the city, is carried through sealed pipes to disposal plants. Through the use of this scientific method, it has been demonstrated that unsanitary conditions cause the spread of diseases like typhoid fever, cholera, and dysentery. Demonstrate, prove practically, show, explain. Unsanitary, dirty, unhygienic, unhealthy conditions. Conditions, environment, surroundings. Dysentery is another disease. It's an infection of the intestine resulting in severe diarrhea with the presence of blood and mucus in the feces. Today, most city governments have departments of sanitation, healthcare departments, cleanliness department, which keep the cities clean and thereby prevent the spread of certain diseases. Prevent, they check it, they guard it, they protect it. If we see a water supply sanitary system in Pakistan, we can see such facilities in most of the urban areas. In the rural area and slum areas, in city areas are still deficient in such facilities. A century ago, it was common practice in many cities to bring water by the bucketful for household use. Students, at that time, people were not having a water tank and taps in their own houses. Water had to be carried a considerable distance from the well to the home. Considerable, reasonable, large, great, significant distance between water source and their houses. And it was the duty of all women and children to bring water from the well or any other source to their home. Just imagine what a miserable condition that was. And now we people have to open a tap and much water is available to us, which we want. Alhamdulillah, fabiyi alai rabbikuma tukazziban. And how have we all got this advancement in our life? How? By using the scientific method in our daily life. Now see the text again. It was therefore used very sparingly, economically, very carefully for bathing and cleaning purposes. Often, it came from sources that contained disease producing germs. There were no filters to get clean water. But now, towns and cities today have water systems that usually provide water enough for household use. One of the most important problems in the growth of cities have been to provide sufficient water, sufficient enough to meet the daily need of the people. Sufficient water to meet the many needs of an increasing population. Los Angeles. Los Angeles, name of the city of America, has solved the problem by bringing water to the city from the Colorado River, 544 kilometers away. Carried through a pipeline or aqueduct, 1,000 million liters of water are delivered to the district daily. Aqueduct, a pipeline, a canal or a channel to bring water from very far off places. 1,000 million liters of water are delivered to the district daily. Delivered, hand over, provide, distribute. In Los Angeles, city of America was not having their own water in from their own land, so they will have to get it from Colorado River, which was 544 kilometers away from the city. It was due to their mind. It was due to their advanced thought or using the scientific method that they did it. This is a remarkable advance, remarkable, great, outstanding, significant, extraordinary advance, progress, improvement, development from the bucket system of supplying homes with water. The next topic is more food and better food. Changes have taken place too in our eating habits. Through the use of science, we have learned that it is healthful to eat many kind of food. Healthful, nutritious, beneficial. And we have learned how to provide ourselves with a variety of foods throughout the year. Variety, different types, different range of diversity, different class, different kinds. Now we can get a variety of fruits and vegetables from the market. As for example, if it's a season of mango and grapes, they will grow in a specific season. But now we used to store them in cold stores and available the whole years, and they are available the whole year. But in past, the writer says, people who lived a century ago probably enjoyed eating as much as we do today, but they could not have as many different kinds of food. Most of their foods had to be produced on their own farms or in their own gardens. Since fresh vegetables could be obtained only during the growing season, people living in cold climates had none during the winter months, and thrifty housewives, thrifty, careful in use of money and goods, that were frugal. Thrifty housewives preserve their homegrown vegetables and fruits by canning, pickling, or drying them for use during the cold weather. Canning, pickling, and drying, these three methods are used to preserve food that we can use out of the season. Meats were preserved by salting and drying or by freezing when the weather was cold enough. Yes, seafoods were generally available only along the coast. Fish and shellfish could be eaten soon after they were caught. Seafoods. Students, we people are living in Punjab. Most of them are not fond of having seafood, but the people who are living in the coastal area like Karachi, they are fond of eating seafood. And now these seafoods are present in big stores like Hyperstar, for example, mushroom, prawns, lobster. Before they are only available beside the coastal areas, but now they are supplied to all over the world, and they can use it throughout the year. And this is only possible due to the improvement of transportation. Yes, but one thing, we should eat halal food. We should eat protein and calcium rich food that are allowed in our religion. Now, you would have listened that bat was eaten by some humans, and from where corona was converted. So, if there are benefits of eating food, but forbidden things are harmful, and so we should eat halal foods. We have to eat food with sufficient protein, lipid, carbohydrate, so that our body may function properly. Yes, regardless of where people live today, they can obtain some fresh fruits, meats, and vegetables throughout the year. By the quick freeze method, vegetable, fruits, seafoods, and meats of various kinds can be preserved so that they are both nutritious and enjoyable. Nutritious mean full of food value. Modern methods of selecting, grading, and processing foods have removed the risk or danger of poisoning from canned foods, dehydration, or the removal of water from such foods as milk, eggs, potatoes, and apples have proved a practical method of preservation. Yes, students, grading are the procedure of selecting best fruit and vegetable or grain like rice, etc., to get a better variety of food. Processed food, which is available throughout the year in cans, like juices, meat, anything else which is made preserved for all the year, for the whole year. And milk is also preserved, as you have learned in pasteurization. Potato chips is available in plastic, airtight jars and packets too. Danger of poisoning mean contaminating, polluting, spoiling. Removal, elimination, and dehydration, lack of moisture, drying out. Our eating habits are not the only things in our lives changed by the use of science, because we have used science to learn more about the processes and materials in our surroundings in our environment, and about the methods of controlling them. We have been able to improve our ways of building houses, our methods of communication and transportation, and even the way we spend our leisure time. But, students, in spite of all this, we are coming back to organic food. We are coming to the point that fresh food is always better than processed food, like canned milk and preserved juices, as they add fats to our body, and sometimes they are very dangerous to our health. Science has even changed the way we spend our leisure time. How we spend our leisure time, dear students? In past, people used to spend their leisure time with their family, having chat, having upshop. How we spend our leisure? Having mobiles? Hmm? Or playing PUBG? Yes, we see the next paragraph, better attitude. The most interesting part of the essay. By an attitude, we mean the way we feel toward some idea or some event. Literally, students, by attitude we mean manner, feelings with regard to a person's tendency. If a person believes that wearing some kind of charm will prevent him from having bad luck, he will wear the charm and feel comfortable without it. Charm. What is meant by charm? Charm would be a magic word or some amulet. It would be in some form of a ring or chain, and people wear it for seeking of good luck or sometime to avoid bad luck. And sometimes it becomes the part of their faith also. For example, the patient with epilepsy. We all know that it's a disorder in central nervous system. But in past, patients of epilepsy had to suffer discrimination in the family, marriage, employment, law, education, and society. Even to talk about their disease was a taboo in the society. But now science has proved that it's simply a physical problem, not a spiritual one. Feelings which involve fears, such as this, are called superstitions. Superstitions mean baseless fears, false notions, fallacy, and some misleading ideas. Superstitious people. Yes, the people who have superstitions, who believe in superstitions. They believe in signs of good or bad luck, and their lives are greatly influenced by such signs. For example, in our society, signs means some people believe that some days are lucky to travel and some days are unlucky to travel. So they try to avoid to travel in those days which they considered unlucky. And this kind of signs have no space in this scientific era. Superstitious beliefs are being overcome by using the scientific method to demonstrate that there is no sound basis for them. Belief, conviction, faith, creed. Sound basis, no solid foundation. Genuine or real source, reliable base. Few people today believe that diseases are caused by evil spirits. This kind of belief are very common in uneducated people. Though astrology and fortune telling are still practiced. As astrology It's a prediction of natural phenomena. You can say it horoscopy, astronomy, knowledge of heavenly bodies. As just like people talk about stars, people used to ask one another, "What's your star?" And most of them daily read in some newspaper a section of their horoscope. What will happen today? So, dear students, do not believe in such false convictions. Stay connected to Almighty Allah. These things are just to puzzle you. And you must have seen in Indian dramas and movies to match their so-called kundalis at the time of someone's marriage and blah 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 blah. All these kind of faith and beliefs are not have real origin. They do not influence the lives of as many people as they once did. It has been learned that there is always a good natural reason for everything that happens to people. Yes, science has given the reasons, causes and reason of the things, of the happenings. Fortune telling. Fortune telling has become a profession nowadays. Fortune telling mean forecasting or giving prophecy about your good luck and bad luck before the time. Dear students, the writers of this essay using the scientific method, they were not Muslims. Being Muslims, it's our iman that everything happens by the order of Almighty Allah. So I will give you a reference of a hadith, Sunan al-Tirmizi, 2517 hadith number is. Anas bin Malik narrated that a man said, "O Messenger of Allah, shall I tie it? It is referred to his camel and rely upon Allah, or leave it loose or rely upon Allah?" He said, "Tie it and rely upon Allah." So we have to be careful but not crazy to control every situation in life. So don't believe 100% on astrology and fortune telling. Rely upon Allah. Now come to the text again. As a result, most people no longer fear black cats, broken mirrors, and the number 13. Black cats. There was a misconception about black cats in past. It is thought that the Norman and Germanic people, Norman people, they were from an area of France, and Germanic people, people from Germany. They originated the idea of a black cat crossing your path, that they brought bad luck, and believed that a sighting of a black cat was a sign that a death would soon occur. This fears about a black cat quickly spread at that time, but it was not so far believed now. Concept of broken mirror. The idea that a mirror is a projection of one's appearance. The people in past thought that a mirror is a projection of one's appearance and one's soul. And breaking a mirror also breaks the soul into pieces. And the soul, now severely damaged, isn't able to fully protect its owner from bad luck. So it was also totally a misconception about the breaking mirror. Yes, and next one is number 13. Number 13 is considered unlucky in many countries. And the fear of the number 13 has a specifically organized phobia. The superstitious sufferers of this phobia try to avoid bad luck by keeping away from anything numbered or labeled number 13. And this number is cursed in their daily everything matter of life. Dear students, using use of scientific method has made it possible for all of us to avoid such kind of things and to get rid such kind of superstitious beliefs. Students, in the past people used to worship sun, stars, fire as they thought them powerful, so mistook them as their gods. Now the science has given the reasons of the facts, and they are converting to Islam, and they are accepting the teaching of Islam by analyzing the facts, because everything is written in Quran about life is now have been proved by science. And Allah says in Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat 164, Verily, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and in the alternation of night and day, and the ship which sail through the sea with that which is of use to mankind, and the water which Allah sends down from the sky and makes the earth alive therewith after its death, and the moving creature of all kinds that He has scattered therein, and in the wearing of winds and clouds which are held between the sky and the earth are indeed evidence, signs for people of understanding. So we can say that Quran is the big supporter of scientific method. Yes, come to the next paragraph. By the scientific method, it has been demonstrated that ideas are not necessarily true because they have been believed for a long time. Ideas must now be supported by facts in order to be acceptable to the scientist or to people who use the scientific method. Acceptable, satisfactory, adequate. The discoveries of scientists. Yes, now come to the last paragraph. The discoveries of scientists have helped people develop an attitude of open-mindedness. Open-mindedness means a liberal outlook or a creation of tolerance. They are more willing to look for new truths. Willing. They are keen. They are ready. They are eager. They are desirous to learn something new. New truths than to assume. Assume, to suppose, to presume, to take for granted that what that has been considered true will always be true. Yes, now people are ready to analyze the facts, to seek the reasons, to get the causes, and to find out the result. Now, in this sense, I would call Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam the first scientist because he was true researcher, as he thought how sun and fire would be Allah. He thought there was something who was managing them. There is something who is managing them. How would dead seeds grow fresh fruit and vegetables? There is someone who is managing all this procedure. Because people have had to change their old ideas as a result of new discoveries made by scientists, they are less likely to accept conclusions as final. Conclusions, results, consequences. Now people are having a practical approach. They are having analytical mind. They want to research. And so it's the end of the lesson. Read it again and to get command on words, synonyms, and ideas behind the lesson. Thank you and have a very nice day. Allah Hafiz.